On October 29, 2018, Lion Air Flight 610, a scheduled domestic passenger flight from Jakarta to Pangkal Pinang, Indonesia, tragically crashed into the Java Sea shortly after takeoff. The Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft, with registration number PKLQP, was carrying 189 passengers and crew members. This incident would become one of the deadliest aviation disasters in Indonesian history and raised serious concerns about the safety of the Boeing 737 MAX series. Background: Lion Air, Indonesia's low-cost airline, had grown rapidly since its establishment in 1999. By 2018, it was the largest privately owned airline in the country, operating an extensive network of domestic and international flights. The airline had recently taken delivery of its first Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft, which was marketed as a more fuel-efficient and technologically advanced version of the Boeing 737 series. However, the MAX had faced scrutiny following the earlier Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 crash in March 2019, which raised questions about the aircraft's safety systems. The flight. Flight 610 departed from Soekarno-Hatta International Airport in Jakarta at 6:20 a.m. local time. Shortly after takeoff, the flight crew experienced issues with the aircraft's automated flight control system, known as the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System (MECAS). The MECAS was designed to prevent the aircraft from stalling by automatically adjusting the nose angle, but it relied on a single angle of attack sensor for data. Just a few minutes into the flight, the pilots reported problems to air traffic control and attempted to return to the airport. The aircraft, however, began to pitch erratically, and despite the crew's efforts to manually override the system, the MECAS continued to force the nose down. As the situation deteriorated, the pilots struggled to regain control. The crash. At 6:32 a.m., only 13 minutes after takeoff, Lion Air Flight 610 crashed into the Java Sea, approximately 15 kilometers from the airport. A massive search and rescue operation was initiated, involving local fishermen, the Indonesian Navy, and international agencies. Unfortunately, no survivors were found among the 189 souls on board. Investigation and findings. The Indonesian National Transportation Safety Committee (NTSC) led the investigation into the crash, with assistance from the National Transportation Safety Board (NTSB) of the United States and Boeing. The investigation uncovered several critical factors contributing to the accident. MECAS malfunction. The MECAS activated repeatedly due to faulty data from the angle of attack sensor, which had been improperly calibrated. This malfunction caused the aircraft to enter a steep dive that the pilots were unable to recover from. Pilot training and procedures. Investigators noted that the pilots had received inadequate training on the MECAS system and how to handle its malfunction. Additionally, there was a lack of clear procedures for addressing such emergencies, leaving the crew ill-equipped to respond effectively. Boeing's safety oversight. The investigation highlighted shortcomings in Boeing's safety oversight and the regulatory approval process for the 737 MAX. The reliance on a single sensor for the MECAS raised questions about the robustness of the aircraft's design and the adequacy of safety assessments. Aftermath and impact. The Lion Air Flight 610 tragedy had far-reaching consequences for the aviation industry. The incident prompted an immediate global grounding of the Boeing 737 MAX fleet, affecting thousands of flights worldwide. The scrutiny of the aircraft's safety led to significant changes in regulations, pilot training programs, and corporate practices within Boeing and the aviation industry as a whole. In March 2020, Lion Air was found guilty of negligence by an Indonesian court, and the airline faced substantial fines and compensation claims from the victims' families. The crash also sparked widespread public outrage and renewed calls for greater accountability and transparency within the aviation sector. On October 29, 2018, the aviation world was shaken by the tragic crash of Lion Air Flight 610. A scheduled domestic passenger flight from Jakarta to Pangkal Pinang, Indonesia. The Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft, identified by registration number PKLQP, was carrying 189 passengers and crew members, all of whom perished in the incident. This disaster marked one of the deadliest aviation catastrophes in Indonesian history and set off a chain of events that would change the landscape of air travel safety and regulatory oversight. Background of Lion Air. Founded in 1999, Lion Air rapidly ascended to become Indonesia's largest privately owned airline, renowned for its budget-friendly fares and extensive domestic and international routes. By 2018, the airline had embarked on a major expansion plan, acquiring new aircraft to meet growing demand. Among these new acquisitions was the Boeing 737 MAX 8, a model touted for its advanced technology and enhanced fuel efficiency. Lion Air had ordered a total of 201 MAX aircraft, reflecting its ambition to dominate the Southeast Asian aviation market. However, the MAX series was not without controversy. Following its introduction, reports of issues began to surface, particularly concerning the maneuvering characteristics augmentation system MECAS, a software feature designed to prevent stalls by automatically adjusting the aircraft's pitch. This system would later become central to the tragic events of Flight 610. The flight experience. On the morning of October 29th, Flight 610 took off from Soekarno-Hatta International Airport in Jakarta at 6:20 a.m. local time, bound for Supadio International Airport in Pangkal Pinang. The aircraft had recently been delivered to Lion Air and had undergone several pre-flight checks, which indicated that it was fit for service. However, within minutes of takeoff, the flight crew experienced severe difficulties. As the aircraft climbed through 3,000 feet, it began to exhibit erratic behavior, with its nose pitching up and down violently. This behavior was linked to the MCS system, which was responding to data from a faulty angle of attack sensor. Instead of stabilizing the aircraft, the MECAS was pushing the nose down repeatedly, leading to panic and confusion in the cockpit. The crew's struggle. The flight crew, consisting of Captain Bavi Suneja and First Officer Harvino, communicated their distress to air traffic control, indicating that they were experiencing difficulties and needed to return to Jakarta. Despite their training and experience, the pilots found themselves grappling with a situation that was exacerbated by the MCAS system's relentless adjustments. They attempted to manually override the automated controls, a process that required composure and expertise under extreme pressure. During this chaotic sequence of events, the crew's training and the airline's operational procedures were put to the ultimate test. Reports indicated that the pilots followed the appropriate emergency checklists, but were unable to regain control of the aircraft. As the aircraft continued to descend, they declared an emergency and sought to stabilize their flight path. However, just 13 minutes after takeoff, at 6:32 a.m., the aircraft crashed into the Java Sea, approximately 15 kilometers from the airport. The aftermath search and recovery. In the immediate aftermath of the crash, a massive search and rescue operation was launched. The Indonesian Navy, local fishermen, and various international agencies mobilized to locate debris and recover any potential survivors. Unfortunately, all efforts to find survivors were in vain, and the focus shifted to recovering wreckage and the aircraft's flight data recorder, the black box. The search lasted several days and rescuers recovered debris, personal belongings, and human remains from the crash site. The tragic loss of life resonated throughout Indonesia, igniting widespread grief and prompting national discussions about aviation safety. Investigation: the path to answers. The Indonesian National Transportation Safety Committee (NTSC) spearheaded the investigation into the crash, with support from the National Transportation Safety Board (NTSB) of the United States and representatives from Boeing. The investigation was extensive and involved meticulous analysis of the recovered wreckage and data from the flight data recorder. Key findings of the investigation. Faulty MECAS activation. Investigators discovered that the MECAS had activated based on erroneous data from the aircraft's angle of attack sensor. The sensor had been miscalibrated and provided incorrect readings, prompting the MKS to force the nose down to prevent a perceived stall. Pilot training deficiencies. The investigation revealed significant shortcomings in pilot training related to the new MAX series. The pilots had not received adequate instruction on the MCAS system, its potential failures, and how to counteract its automated inputs. This lack of training rendered them vulnerable during an emergency situation, diminishing their ability to react effectively. Boeing's oversight and regulatory compliance. The investigation highlighted lapses in Boeing's safety assessments and the regulatory process for the 737 MAX. The reliance on a single angle of attack sensor for the MCAS system raised serious concerns about the robustness of the aircraft's design. The oversight by the Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) and other regulatory bodies came under scrutiny, with questions about the adequacy of the approval processes in place. Maintenance and reporting issues. Further investigations revealed that Lion Air had a history of maintenance issues and irregularities. Pilots had previously reported problems with the aircraft systems, but these concerns were not adequately addressed by the airline. A culture of pressure to meet operational schedules may have contributed to negligence in reporting and addressing critical aircraft issues. Global impact and response. The ramifications of the Lion Air Flight 610 crash extended far beyond Indonesia. The tragedy sparked a global crisis for Boeing, leading to the grounding of the entire 737 MAX fleet in March 2019, following another crash of a MAX aircraft, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, which claimed 157 lives. The grounding lasted for nearly 2 years, during which Boeing faced intense scrutiny, legal challenges, and a dramatic decline in public trust. Regulatory bodies around the world re-evaluated their safety standards and oversight practices. The FAA and other authorities implemented stricter regulations for pilot training and aircraft certification, particularly for systems relying heavily on automation. Boeing initiated reforms in its safety culture and committed to enhancing pilot training programs to prevent similar tragedies. Legal and financial repercussions. In March 2020, a Jakarta court found Lion Air guilty of negligence, holding the airline responsible for the crash. The airline was ordered to pay substantial compensation to the families of the victims, and the ruling sent a strong message about the accountability of airline operators in ensuring passenger safety. The financial consequences for Boeing were severe, with billions of dollars in losses and legal settlements resulting from the grounding of the 737 MAX and compensation claims from affected airlines. The company's reputation suffered a significant blow, leading to a reassessment of its corporate practices and safety protocols. Conclusion. Lessons learned. The story of Lion Air Flight 610 is a stark reminder of the complexities and risks involved in modern aviation. It emphasizes the critical importance of rigorous safety standards, effective pilot training, and open communication among aircraft manufacturers, airlines, and regulatory authorities. As the aviation industry continues to evolve, the lessons learned from this tragedy must guide future practices to ensure that such a catastrophic event never occurs again.